It's 24th of January 25, so tomorrow is Robbie Burns Day, which in 10 or 20 years will be seen as the supremacist white thing, because he did consider going to Jamaica. So while SNP marchers are very protective of Robbie at the moment, and he's a form of one of the main forms of identity. I think he's got the most statues in Scotland. They'll just have to concede that SNP politicians have decided that the natives have to become a minority much faster than in England, and they're fast tracking it, same as they're doing in Wales and Ireland. And but if there's a statue toppling committee, amongst newcomers for Scotland and the left, at the moment they're giving Robbie Burns a bye. He must be the number one target, because he thought of going to Jamaica to work in the trade over there. So he's an obviously statue topple. I mean, when you look at the reasons others have been toppled and the people have been found not guilty in court. Yeah, so Robbie Burns Day is tomorrow. Eventually it'll become a supreme white, seen as a supreme white thing to SNP marchers, who by then will be a minority of the minority natives, and the new majority. Either it will be a utopia or an anarchy. It's something in between there, or one of those extremes. Tariq Khan feels it's going to be a utopia. So that's what we've got to look forward to and all that. So I'm talking about Robbie Burns Day, but now I want to talk about this on this day. And for the first time ever, probably the first time in 100 years since the Liberals collapsed, when Labour became big. And one of the reasons the Liberals collapsed was because the peace deal with Ireland. So although I think at that time the Labour was just starting and they were the union things, and ironic Keir Hardie was part of them or whatever, wasn't he? So we're talking about, what are we talking about? Yeah, nearly 100 years. 100, right about 100 years of Labour Conservative being the only two parties that could win. And now we have Reform have overtaken both of them for the first time ever. So this first time really a third party has overtaken them. And I would call this the protest vote party on one issue. So that's how I see it, the Overton window party. So forget all their policies, forget Nigel Farage and all that. Just think of them as a protest vote on one issue, which I think is an existential issue. Nothing else matters, and it's got to stop. And I think in 5 years' time, female native voters of the Greens will want it to be reversed. I've no comment to make of that in the moment because we don't live in a free society, especially under Keir. So this is the first time ever, so I'm saying vote for Reform, especially if you vote Green, Labour, Lib Dem, SNP, especially if you're female. I would say you've got to be honest with yourself. There's one issue and it's getting bundled around, and people rightfully say that Reform are too weak on the issue. They've got a net zero thing, which meant last year 700,000 coming from the global south. At one, it's a yeah, rather than 1.5 million, which was actually how many came over. So it's far too many. We've really got to be zero, as maybe Trump's doing in America. He's just started doing deportations. He's doing hanging fruit deportations at the moment, which is the ones that get terrible crime records like rape, murder, all this. And one of them said when he got lifted yesterday, God bless Biden and Obama. I can't remember what he was from Haiti. He was in Fox News. He was from Boston. The ICE police were detaining such individuals, and the Boston council refused to help them because it's a sanctuary city, and that's what Scotland is, a sanctuary thingy. And John Swinney even really said this the other day, two days ago, I think. He said SNP voters want the change to be faster. They want natives to be a minority much faster. They want it to be a global south majority much sooner than England. So this is your chance to vote against that as an Overton window shift, you know. As a protest vote, forget all the other things that Nigel and Reform stand for. Just think of it as a protest vote. I mean, Ribble knows better. He's the only one really talking about this all the time. Reformer went 26%, Tories 23%, they're down 2, Labour 22% down 2, Lib Dems 12, Greens 10. So that's fantastic. Personally, I think almost all native Brits are going to vote Reform eventually. It's going to just be a sort of identity thing. Same as the newcomers are wanting to vote identity. You know, they've got 4 Muslim MPs at the moment who might be forming a party. They were all individuals, places like Blackburn and that, which will never be Labour or any traditional party again. Never be Labour, never Conservative, not even Reform, Lib Dem, Green. They'll always be identity party now, probably. Quite an exclusive one. The same is going to happen to Jess Phillips' seat at the next election. She just scraped through this time, and I think she blamed it on men. I think just men in general. I don't know. I can't remember. So this is for the first time, and this is Stats for Lefties. How they work out the seats, and so they make it Reform are going to have 233 seats. No, 238 seats. Tories 153, Labour 99. So Labour 99 going from, and they were saying that Jeremy Corbyn was a disaster with 209 seats or something like that. And Jeremy Corbyn in 2019 get more votes than Keir Starmer did. So they'd be down 312. Lib Dem 73, up 1, ironically. SNP up 44, up 35. Greens 7, up 3. What does that mean? Plaid Cymru 4. And they're not adding individual identity parties yet of the newcomers, the Global South identity parties, which I think there'll probably be many if they can get the concentrations, you know. So there's Reform, mostly taking a lot of England. So let's look at it again. The North East, the North West, apart from some bits in the middle there, Yorkshire, I think, Middle East, Middle West, Midwest. Quite a lot of the Midlands. Or they went to the Tories, really. That whole central bit's going to either the Tories or a Reform, really. And then the down south. I mean, it's hardly any Labour. Apart from London. I mean, look at all the rest of it. There's hardly any Labour at all. Look at Wales. There's like 2 Labour seats, I think. Even Cardiff, and that's probably going to go Reform, according to Stats for Lefties. Liverpool looks like it's still going to keep voting Labour at the moment. Yeah, so to me that's sort of rejection of the last 75 years of the LabCon. What Keir Starmer called an open experiment, or at least he called Boris Johnson's wave as an open experiment. Done by design, not by mistake. And look at that, so SNP nearly getting the whole of Scotland again. So that's not good. SNP are voting for it even faster. Global South majority. Yeah, so on these numbers, a stunning 11 cabinet ministers would be projected to lose their seats. Well, hey, Angela Rayner will lose her seat anyway. Shabana Mahmood will lose hers to an independent, and that will be an identity party representing the majority there, or the near majority. Bridget Phillips in West Streeting, he's going to lose his to a sort of an identity candidate who's based on race or religion, really. Rachel Reeves to Reform, Liz Kendall to Reform, Vic Cooper to Reform, yeah. Because most of these just scrape through, really, at the moment. Lisa Nandy to Reform, yeah. Pat McFarlane to Reform, yeah, that's all good, yeah. Keir Starmer would cling on to his seat, but a combined Green-Andrew Feinstein ticket could beat him. Yeah, I think they probably will combine to get rid of him, but an umbrella Global South candidate might come up. I think it's too mixed there for the way the people really want it, or the Global South newcomers want it. Is it basically an ethnic identity thingy? So, personally, I think reform will get like 40%. It depends how long this government's going to last. I don't think the government's going to last. Partly because of the internet, people just aren't happy with the electoral system. You know, partly because they're a total disaster on this issue, especially. They just don't understand, and the people don't want it. The people want it to be zero currently. The natives want it to be zero, I should say. And even the Green female voters, in my opinion, and the Socialist Worker Party female voters are. So I think the Reform are going to get about 40% or something. But I don't think it will last that long. I think Keir will get kicked out because nobody likes him. His cabinet don't like him. They don't think his judgment's wrong. He got his judgment all wrong with this Axel Southport 3 murders of the young girls. He got his attitude all wrong with that, both to do with the rioting, which to the information they gave before the trial and what he said after the trial. So, and here it's saying it in the West Midlands really. Reform will get 16 seats plus 16. Tories will get 20 seats plus 5. Labour will get 14 seats down 24. So Labour, this was a Labour area. I don't think this person's including ethnic Global South elected members because that lawyer nearly got in on one of the seats. And Jess Phillips nearly lost to the Workers' Party, but I think the next time the people there will go for an ethnically pure candidate, like they did in Blackburn. Craig Murray was standing there for the Workers' Party. They're meant to be the ones that Global South Brits are meant to support, but suddenly, with 3 weeks to go, a young ethnic man stood, and he said he would stood down if the others told him not to stand. So they probably didn't say anything, and his agent was Jack Straw's agent, and Jack Straw probably saw his agent as someone who was going to carry the Labour torch and that, He was for equality for all Brits and all that, So, yeah, it's looking pretty good here. So this is January 25. But I don't think Keir will last, because nobody likes him, especially his cabinet and his MPs and any Labour activists. And this is our Star Marista grouping. Nobody likes him. Nobody likes his cabinet. So I think he'll probably go at some point because poor judgment. As I said the other day, he's like a strict dad who's got poor judgment as well. So the son doesn't like him. It's a double whammy, And then, but I think Labour won't last either just because people are fed up with the electoral system, and 5 years is far too long. If you wanted to keep this electoral system, it would need to be every 3 years, like they have in Australia and New Zealand. 5 years is far too long. That's really a dictatorship, really. Especially when you think of all the seats that Labour got. But it was a wafer thin everywhere. They get less votes than Jeremy Corbyn in 2019, and Keir calls the low point for Labour. They get less, I think they get less of a percent than them in 2019, I'm not sure. They only get 33%. I mean, that's pathetic. You're way off 50% there. I think it's the worst percentage for a long time, possibly ever. Yeah, and plus with Reform being a protest vote, so they're going to be so popular now. Labour are going to be so unpopular in the polls. And plus petitions now, I think everybody should do the government petitions. At the moment, there are minor annoyance for MPs and that, but you've got to keep pushing them because it's direct democracy. And if it's doing the opposite of what MPs are passing as laws, it's embarrassing for them. So government positions and council by-elections, you've got to turn out for council by-elections and vote reform, especially if you're a female native, in my opinion. Um, especially if you vote Green in that. Uh, yeah, so council by-elections, YouGov surveys, join them, join YouGov, vote reform. When it asks, what are the three political issues you're worried about, only pick one, the one issue, which I don't even want to say here, but you can guess. Forget stuff like winter allowance and stuff like that. And I saw something here which was annoying, because the British natives are so nice. They were saying, why have voters abandoned Labour? This was a poll in January 23rd. Winter fuel cuts, and this is what I expected. 35%, 33% said failure in cost of living, 26% failure in services, 25% broken services promises, 23% have not stood up to the rich. But to me, the only one that matters is immigration. 18% say, so that's quite a few. And this is Labour voters. But that's the only one that really matters. And really, winter fuel allowance is a joke, really. I mean, they're going to give the poor money other ways. You know, this was something that Tony Blair brought in as a gimmick, symbolic gimmick, to please his voters. You know, and it's him that probably wants rid of it. He's probably said to Keir Starmer, that was a terrible mistake because of the cost of it. You know, Alan Sugar gets that £300 or whatever a year. I mean, you could even just, instead of giving him a cheque, maybe, I don't know, pay the poor's bill for December or something like that, you know. But it should be targeted. I mean, it was ridiculous. They gave all pensioners that, you know, it's costing like $2 billion a year. So that was ridiculous. It's symbolic, but if that's the reason people are thinking, I'm annoyed at that, but I'm glad that they're not voting Labour, because I think that every native is worried about immigration, basically. Not only they're worried, they're stressed out about it. If they're old for their grandchildren and that. I mean, the things that are happening in the news is terrible, you know, and it's not just the newcomers, it's first generation, it's second generation, third generation. I mean, the Manchester bomber was second generation, Axel was second generation. The police told us that was a Welsh boy, because he was 2 weeks away from his 18th birthday, Welsh boy, born in Cardiff or something. So the Liverpool police, I feel, deliberately misled us, because we were all thinking, oh, to me, I wasn't thinking, well, that's not a native Welsh. That doesn't mean it's a native Welsh thing. Yeah, so I think every native is worried about us, and because we're so nice, a lot are still supporting us, saying be nice, you know. But if you're scared of it, you're anxious, you've got to vote against it, and that's symbolically the reform, even though they're useless on it. Overton window shift, because if you just go from Labour to Tory or back again, or Labour to SNP, they're not getting the message. SNP John Swin has just said he wants more. He wants natives to become a minority faster. He wants a global south majority sooner. So all this, here's somebody saying this, all this pandering to the right in immigration isn't even in the top 5 of people's main issues. See, this is giving people an excuse. It's giving people an excuse to say that's not what you're worried about when it is what you're worried about. So by all means say you're going to vote Labour or something, and then when you're in the booth, vote Reform or SNP. Don't vote SNP. If you're voting, say you're voting SNP, in the booth, vote Reform. So yeah, I'm not happy about that at all. Anyway, what's it? And anyway, I'm looking at council by-elections last night, and one in particular, Bannockburn Stirling council by-election. And again, we see Reform, they've went from nothing to 22.7%. So that's fantastic. SNP won it from Labour. This is, I don't think, is this first preference votes? This might be second preference actually, or I don't. We do it. I would say a more democratic way. First preference, second preference, third preference. So maybe Reform get into the second round or whatever. I don't know, but Tories are down only 8%, so it's not just old Tories that moved to reform. So that's fantastic. I mean, if you've got a council by-election coming up and you're worried about that one issue, the unspoken issue, you've got your vote reform to show that you're in that council by-election. That's you getting a chance to worry the government and the opposition, the leading opposition, the Tories, because they're both all still in favour of it. You've got to say no. You want zero. You want it stopped. You want it zero. You're happy with what Trump's doing about it over in America, even though he's crazy, and lots of other things he's doing are crazy. So there was an independent the last time. So this is fantastic, and people are saying that. I mean, the turnout was only 17%, but quite often these things work out the same, even when everyone turns out. It's trends, really. And there's someone saying that is one hell of a result for reform. And this is Scotland, and I think that's not a rich area. I can't be sure. Maybe it's. That's an amazing result for reform. If the Tories had stood firm, reform would have been within a few points of winning, assuming all Tory were to go. So yeah. Is this reform's strongest performance in Scotland? I don't think it is. I think there's been some even better ones recently. And Scotland's undemocratic 5-yearly election is next year. Yeah, next year. And reform could look as if they're going from zero to maybe being the second biggest party. Maybe I would say on about 20% maybe or something. But like I say, I think most natives will end up voting reform, like unionists. Ulster unionists vote for DUP, UUP for the wrong reason over in Northern Ireland. In the UK, you'd be voting reform for the right reason, for that one issue, a protest vote, Overton window shift, to say that when one issue, it needs to be zero. And this is us symbolically showing that. Even the Reform are rubbish on it with their net zero thing on this issue, not on green stuff. Because I agree with green stuff. Well, no, I agree. I would call myself a common sense green. I mean, people that can afford an electric car should be going to it because they're nicer, they're quieter, and they should be having solar and battery in their house because it's a sensible thing to do. I mean, from what I know, people aren't saying a fitted kitchen is a waste of money. It'll take you 20 years to get that money back. You'll never get your fitted kitchen money back. But then people are coming up with all this stuff. If you change the solar, I mean, when you change the solar and that, you're doing away with CO2 overnight. But also, it's just better all round. So that's what I want to say with that. And now, just looking at the other by-election, I think it was 3 last night. So this is them talking about that election where I think this is where Reform 23.6. So it's a three-horse race now. They've went up 8.9. Worth noting that Find Out Now has consistently found higher Reform support than other opposition pollsters. Well, we've found another one that's even higher, haven't we? So, but personally, I think Reform are going to take over. I mean, they're going to get all the Labour voters, traditional Labour voters. Keir Starmer called the rioters of Rotherham and Southport the busting EDL far right, even though the EDL have been disbanded for 10 years. The people weren't busting. If you look at the court cases, they're working people from the local area in their 30s, 40s, 50s. To me, looking at videos, it looked like traditional Labour voters, mum, dad, and adult kids. Totally angry, very, very angry, and rather than they were angry about their immigration hotel there, and in Southport they were angry. Maybe they even knew Axel, those rioters, so they knew his history that we weren't told about. We were told about he was a Welsh choir boy, and they were showing a picture of him at 12, and we weren't showing his police his detention thingy, which looked rather different. I think that was a deliberate thing made by either the Liverpool Constabulary or the Home Secretary or Keir Starmer. They didn't give the police photo. Yeah, and here's what they're thinking with Find Out Now. They're thinking Reform will be on 190, Labour 161. So that'll be Labour's worst ever. Keir said it would be 2019 was a low point at 209 seats or something. Conservatives 141, Lib Dem 71, SNP 46. So the Scots are still pretty foolish, the Scottish kilt wearers. They don't realise that that's going to become a supreme white symbol as they become a minority faster than England and the global south decree things about kilts and stuff and Rabbie Burns. So they're going to be really angry once they realise what's happened. Others 11, that could be anyone, that could be ethnic identity of the global south. Greens 7, PLC 4. So this is his map from the Find Out Now poll. Oh, this is another one. Is he getting Oh, this is the polling average. So this is his polling average. Here's the Find Out Now poll. Down here. First ever Reform polling lead. Reform 26%, Tories 23, Labour 22, Greens, Lib Dem 12, Green 10. I mean, they should add the independent to ethnic independent or whatever. Not of natives, but of new global south groupings or Workers' Party, who are a sort of global south conglomerate umbrella group. In practice, I think the Workers' Party will just vanish, basically, because George Galloway's voting policy on immigration is, from their point of view, worse than Reform. It makes Reform look weak, and so he'll appeal to no one really, because probably in those constituencies where they're popular at the moment, they'll be saying, no, we want an ethnic thing, we don't want Georges, especially on that issue. So I think Workers' Party will just fold, basically, really. So this is a Find Out Now again, Reform 26. So it's looking good. I think Reform will go up to 40%, 45%. I don't think this Labour government will last because of the internet. We're becoming more direct democracy, more active and oh yeah, here's looking at the councils. Shetland North. Well, just ignore that one. I wouldn't be surprised if Shetland's changing pretty quickly as well. Here's one in Edinburgh. I'm not sure if this must be quite a well-to-do area. Tories won it again. They were up 12%. Labour down 1%, so not much there. Lib Dem's down 20. I don't know why that is. SNP up 2.7. Greens at 1.5. There's Reform just come in at 1.9. So I don't know what's going on there. Is it a posh area that's traditionally Tory? So I don't know. Let's see. So the Tories just won that the last time. Well, actually, the Lib Dem won it. So they've switched from probably usually a Tory area. Still too nice to switch to Reform. So I don't know what the story is. Edinburgh South constituency, Labour's electoral readout in Scotland, which they have held since Nigel Griffiths defeated Michael Ancram in 1987. So I don't know. that's an awkward. I think it must be quite a middle class area, or a lot of it is. Maybe it's got a council area lumped in. I don't know. Newcastle under Lyme. This is sort of Angela Rayner area in round about Stoke. So Labour down 28%, Tories down 2%, Reform new from 0 to 21.7%, and Lib Dems new 9.2%. So I wonder why Lib Dems didn't sit the last time. Maybe they were trying to let Labour win it from the Tories or something. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, Reform well in there, 21.7%. And as Harriet Harman said the other day in one of our news programmes that she gets paid to go on, Sky News or something, every Friday she checks the council by-election, so that shows you how important they are, you know. So if you get a council by-election, get out there, and if you're an SNP Green voter and you're worried about this one issue, which I think is existential, Sadiq can't think it's going to be a utopia, then you've got to abandon Greens, Labour, SNP and vote Reform on these council by-elections as a protest vote. And there's Robert Laws showing that Reform now in the clear, leading a national opinion poll. He's the best MP that Reform have got, especially on this issue. He's talking about the find out now poll. So well done to Rupert. And Rupert also shows MPs how they should be. He's asking questions all the time in Parliament, and he's basically embarrassing the other MPs, even his own side probably, showing that they're hardly there. I mean, they're only there 3.5 days. They get, if they want, most of them, they do most of the stuff on Monday and Tuesday, and then after Prime Minister's questions Wednesday, they're probably heading home then or on the Thursday. But also, Rupert's really showing them up, including even the Reform MPs, really. I mean, they should be there 24/7, 365 if there's laws to be changed. And if that means you need 3 or 4 MPs each constituency, then so be it, you know. At the moment they've got, their hours were decided by the Victorians, probably in the 1850s or something, so that they could go hunting in Scotland for the summer, stuff like that, on holiday. So they've got university holidays plus school holidays, and they're hardly even there anyway. They're really part-time parliamentary things. I mean, they do all other stuff, you know, but as parliamentarians, they're hardly there. They're part-time, really. I'm just looking to see if anyone says about Angela Ryan here. He's calling them Geordies, he doesn't realise it's Stoke. Well, it's Newcastle under Lyme, not Overton or whatever. Ever been to Newcastle under Lyme, you'll know why many are voting for Labour. Oh well, yeah. Well, we saw that from Angela Rayner. I mean, really, one thing, SDP should call themselves the Patriotic Labour Party or something, you know, or Patriotic British Party or something. So, we don't know why they voted that way. Again, I mean, I'd imagine if they're being honest, it's on the one issue, but then in surveys people will say it's winter fuel allowance or something, you know. So, Much Wilton and Hunts Cross, Liverpool council by-election. So, I think that's where John Lennon was from, Wilton or something, but let's see. Lib Dem is 51% Labour. So Labour down 4%. Reform 11%. So that's pretty good. I would expect that place to be a lot more, but I don't know the area. John Lennon's middle class. Greens, I think a lot of middle class areas are still sticking to Lib Dem or Tory, really. Although in this place the Conservatives only get 2.1% and we're down 2.3. So I don't know how that's happening there. Maybe a lot of Labour voters vote Lib Dem there to keep the Tories out or something. I don't know. Or maybe Tory voters vote Lib Dem to keep Labour out. But it's not really changed Overton window type. I mean, how's a bit? Reform 11%. These Reform voters would likely have gone more LD if they had not stood. So it's 11%. It's pretty good for a posh place, middle class place. Because these sort of places, I think it's rude to mention this issue even if you're worried, probably. Just 20 miles from Southport. Good luck, folks. So, Labour Party lists council by-election in Liverpool for the first time since 1997. Lib Dem leader Carol Cashman heralds massive win. It's only the Lib Dems that can beat Labour across Liverpool. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. I'm guessing it's a protest vote to Lib Dems, but I don't know if it's from Labour people or from Tory people to keep the other party out. You know, maybe keep the Liverpool out. So that is quite big then. It's the first time Labour lost a council. Oh, first time a council by-election. Okay, it's still quite a big thing. It's Liverpool. I didn't end up voting this time. The letters we were getting were literally Labour and Lib Dem slagging each other off. Nothing about what they're actually going to do for the area. So that's that one. So that's interesting. And then there's a Bannockburn one in Stirling. So there was 5 by-elections this week. Yeah, Shetland, so I think we've seen them all now. Yeah, so that's it really. So on this, the first poll ever to put Reform as ahead of Labour and Tories to be the leading party in Britain. So this is probably the first time in 100 years, unless the SDP or the Liberal SDP thing in 1983 at some point was ahead, just in a poll. But this one, I think, is to do with one existential reason, hopefully. You can see how Stats for Lefties feels about it. They've given a little no smile emoji there. Yeah, so that's very interesting. So vote Reform, especially if you vote SNP Green, as a protest vote, an Overton win the vote on one issue. Forget all their other policies. Yeah, because we've got to get it to zero. We've got to get it to stop, okay, at least. And 5 or 10 years' time, I think female native green voters will be wanting it reversed. But yeah, okay, bye for now.